propound, are octopuses really aliens that we know of? In 2015, a team of about 30 scientists published a paper in a real scientific journal seriously entertaining the idea that octopuses came from outer space. Not as a joke, as a talking point in an argument about the origin of life on Earth. And the wild part is, once you understand what an octopus actually is, you kind of get why someone would even go there. So let's answer the question they were really asking: are octopuses really aliens? As always, let's get the general info out of the way, starting with our beloved cladogram, which shows how big groups of animals called phyla are related. Octopuses belong to the phylum Mollusca. Side note, there are multiple plurals for octopus: octopi, octopuses, octopodes. I like octopuses best. Other members of mollusca you probably know: snails, slugs, clams, oysters, squid, and cuttlefish. And you can roughly sort those into 3 groups based on what they've got going on. Snails and slugs, basically the same shape, separated mostly by having a shell or not. Those are the gastropods. The 2-shelled crowd clams, oysters, mussels, those are the bivalves. And then the ones with the big heads: squid, cuttlefish, and our animal today, the octopus. Those are the cephalopods, and they are the smartest invertebrates that we know of. Like all intelligent creatures, including us, that comes down to a bunch of factors, and the headline one is a big brain. At first glance, you'd assume an octopus keeps its whole brain up in the head-looking area. Part of it is there, but not all of it. Because octopuses have what's called a decentralized brain. All of our brain lobes sit up top. That's centralized. Octopuses have lobes too. They're just spread out. The central brain is where you'd expect it, in the head. But they also have side brain lobes that extend into the arms, not all the way to the tips, because that would be the opposite of useful. They get their arms chomped off pretty often. More toward the base, but far enough in that we can honestly say they have brains in their arms. Each lobe has a job. The central brain handles the central organs, which are also up in the head, and the side brains run the heart and the nerves feeding the arms. That's no small task. Octopuses have around 500 million neurons, and 2/3 of them are in the arms. The payoff of a decentralized brain is rapid-fire nervous system reactions. The side brains can make decisions without checking in with the central brain, and they can even talk to other side brains. You see this in their famous color and texture changing. Their chromatophores, the color-changing cells, are wired straight into the nervous system. So it's all basically instantaneous. Blending in isn't the only thing that brain is for. Octopuses solve problems. You've seen the clips of them opening jars from the inside or escaping predators in My Octopus Teacher. They plan ahead, carrying objects to hide in when they move somewhere new, just in case there's no shelter. There's even footage of what looks like dreaming, an octopus shifting colors as if it's blending into something in its sleep. And here's what's genuinely wild. All of this evolved in a group so distantly related to the other intelligent lineages, birds and mammals, shaped by completely different pressures over hundreds of millions of years. So when we look at them and say, they dream just like us, they plan just like us, do they really? Their experience of being an intelligent creature might be totally incomprehensible to us because it evolved on a completely separate track. Anyway, small philosophical tangent. One of the most interesting parts of their intelligence is that no information gets passed from parent to offspring, which usually benefits smart species. Think of cheetahs learning to hunt from mom, or whales and elephants in family units, or us. We owe basically everything to what other humans taught us, not the octopus. Apart from instinct, they learn every survival skill on their own, and that's tied to their life history. Octopus mothers evolved to pour all their energy into guarding their eggs until they hatch, rather than into passing on knowledge. The mother's death is timed almost exactly to when the eggs hatch, which, if you sit with it too long, will make you cry. So we're not doing that today. All these unbelievable octopus qualities have led people to joke, well, maybe they're aliens. And in 2015, a paper took that joke seriously, folding the idea that octopuses came from space into a very controversial paper about the origins of life on Earth. Quick disclaimer, I try to avoid origin of life stuff because it's usually a mountain of chemistry, which is not my zone, so we're only focusing on the octopus portion of the paper. Think of me as a tour guide on a double-decker bus with a tight schedule, giving you the quick version of a couple of big ideas before we have to move on. Origin of life is one of the most contentious fields in science. Scientists genuinely yell at each other about it. But there's one idea most of the community has reached consensus on: abiogenesis. That's the idea that life arose from non-living matter, not overnight, not by magic, but through the right conditions, letting simple molecular structures get more and more complex over an enormous span of time, snowballing until the earliest self-replicating structures appear. That's a rough 10-second description of a process that took hundreds of millions, maybe a billion years, and there are plenty of experiments supporting it. The authors of this paper disagreed. A team of about 30 scientists from different fields came together to reintroduce another idea: panspermia, the controversial claim that life didn't start on Earth at all, but hitched a ride on a meteorite from another planet, survived the trip, and seeded Earth, basically an intergalactic highway with life bouncing between worlds. The reason it's so controversial is that, as many other scientists have pointed out, there's no evidence for it. The talking points are vague or explainable by other mechanisms. It's extremely speculative. I fell into a panspermia rabbit hole while researching and went way off track. I was staring at that blank doc thinking, how do I pull this back to being an octopus video? And then, as luck would have it, I met someone at a bar who studies evolution and has a friend with a PhD in octopuses. That's Networking 101. Her name is Kelly Voss, an octopus behaviorist and morphologist who spent her master's studying whether giant Pacific octopuses have consistent personalities. They do. And her PhD essentially answering, why do they need so many arms? She helped me recenter this whole video and gave me her take on the paper, which I'll share in a bit. And yes, we're friends now. Now, the meat of the paper. The authors proposed that life not only arrived on Earth via comets, but that organisms here have been continuously affected by life-bearing comets crashing down over the last 500 million years, possibly carrying viruses that infected them and transformed their evolutionary path, letting them evolve specific traits very quickly. And the octopus, they argued, is the perfect example of intelligence evolving from an extraterrestrial source. They claim the octopus's big brain and instant camouflage appeared suddenly about 270 million years ago. With no clear origin, they wrote, and I quote, that these traits seem to be borrowed from a far distant future in terms of terrestrial evolution, or more realistically from the cosmos at large. They offered two scenarios. An extraterrestrial virus infected a population of squid with a swarm of genes that transformed them into octopuses. Or a bunch of cryopreserved octopus eggs soft-landed on Earth around 275 million years ago. Let me reiterate, there is no evidence to support these claims at all. There are huge gaps in the picture they're painting, so the rest of the scientific community had some words. A virologist named Ken Steadman pointed out that viruses evolve to infect specific hosts. So for an alien virus to infect squid here, the planet it came from would already need a ton of squid on it, and then that virus had to reach another planet that also happens to be covered in squid. What are the odds? Unless there are squid all over the universe, pretty slim. He also cited genetic evidence that the nervous system genes of octopuses and squid only split around 175 million years ago, which doesn't line up with the paper's 275 million year timeline. Another scientist, Keith Baverstock, noted that plenty of organisms have traits with no obvious traceable origin. It's widespread, and there are well-established Earth-based explanations. No need to reach for the cosmos. And Kelly Voss pointed out that our understanding of octopus evolution is incredibly fragmented because soft-bodied animals barely fossilize. That matters. In fact, since this paper was posted in 2021, a fossil of an octopus ancestor was found dated to about 330 million years old, pushing the octopus timeline back by roughly 50 million years. Kelly also noted that octopuses are extremely sensitive to even small temperature changes, so she doesn't think they're a good candidate for surviving an interplanetary trip. Picture frozen octopus eggs in a comet. They'd have to survive the launch off their home planet, then a journey of at least a few thousand years, then a crash landing here. The odds are stacked against them. Another virologist, Karen Moling, said, calling this idea plausible as the authors did isn't really valid because there was no smoking gun. All the evidence they offered has other earthly explanations. Extraordinary claims without the extraordinary evidence. You know those TikTok hot takes where someone goes, "I might get hate for this," and then says something unhinged and the whole comment section is just, "You need therapy?" That's basically the reception this paper got. The bottom line, most scientists who weighed in agree that life coming from space would be incredibly cool, but at this point, it doesn't help anyone to treat it as a working theory for the origin of life, based on our current understanding. The core problem with panspermia is that it just relocates the question. It moves, where did life come from, to another planet, without definitive evidence. Which pushes the question off limits, because what are we supposed to do with that? Oh, life came from another planet. Cool. Guess we're done here. You might be wondering, if the responses basically call this paper invalid, how did it get published in a scientific journal? I asked Kelly about that too. Getting a paper into a journal is a bit like getting a TV show onto a network. It gets shopped around. Kelly figures it was probably rejected by a reasonable number of journals before one that was up for stirring some chaos took it. So while we can hope that one day we find evidence of other intelligent life, maybe even connected to us through some intergalactic highway, for now that stays in our imaginations. If you want to go down an origin of life rabbit hole, specifically if you want to watch scientists yell at each other, Professor Dave recently uploaded a debate with a professor at Rice University about the origin of life. Lots of chemistry. It gets heated, and it's fun to watch. I'll link it in the description. Next week, I'm keeping it much simpler with a rundown on some animals I think you'll like. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Check out my Patreon for midweek updates and live streams, and keep up with my short-form stuff on TikTok and Instagram. For now, stay curious. The world has a lot for us to learn. See ya.